A major behind-the-scenes secret just got leaked regarding the fallout from Jen Sidwell's arrest and the fate of his massive auctioned empire. Someone is trying very hard to keep a lid on this, but the unconfirmed information is already spilling out into the open, and it paints a terrifying picture of what is about to happen next. Right now, everyone assumes this upcoming storyline is just going to be a standard, boring corporate bidding. Most viewers believe that Drew is simply trying to rebuild his portfolio and regain his footing after his recent horrific medical nightmare. We all know he has been recovering from the paralyzing locked-in syndrome orchestrated by Willow and Nina, so the obvious explanation seems to be that Drew is just throwing his newly recovered energy and capital at Sidwell's seized assets to get back on top of the Port Charles business food chain. People think it is just a battle of the bank accounts, a petty rivalry over real estate and offshore accounts. Viewers are assuming that Sonny is only interested in Sidwell's assets to ensure no rival mobsters move into his territory. It all seems so straightforward, right? Just two wealthy men fighting over the scraps left behind by a defeated villain. But what if we are looking at this completely the wrong way? What if that wasn't the real reason Drew is going after Sidwell's empire? Insider buzz suggests that there is a much more sinister, hidden agenda at play here. What if Drew is deliberately and aggressively targeting Sonny? Think about it. Drew might be looking at Sidwell's auctioned assets not just as a financial investment, but as the foundation to build a brand new, ruthless power base, a syndicate of his own. Rumor has it that Drew thinks Sonny has gone soft. With Jason returning to town and explicitly telling Sonny that he wants to step away from the mob life to prioritize Danny, Drew might mistakenly believe that Sonny's organization is crumbling. Drew might think Sonny is vulnerable, stripped of his best enforcer, and unable to mount a proper counterattack. If you ask me, Drew is trying to step into the vacuum left by Sidwell to directly challenge Sonny's throne. This alternative story completely shifts the narrative from a boardroom brawl to a street-level turf war. We are hearing that Sonny quickly realizes Drew's true ambition. For Sonny, this is no longer simply a matter of money or territorial pride. This is a direct existential threat to his family, his remaining power, and the loyalists who still stand by his side. Drew is making a fatal miscalculation by assuming that Sonny is out of the game just because Jason is stepping back. Sonny always has loyal soldiers ready to do his bidding, and challenging the head of the Corinthos family directly elevates this conflict to a completely different, lethal level. Drew might be prepared to face off against Jason, Willow, Alexis, or anyone else in a boardroom, but poking the bear that is Sonny Corinthos is a whole different ballgame. The speculation is that Drew's arrogance is blinding him to the very real danger he is placing himself in. So, how does this actually play out? Because there are multiple ways this behind-the-scenes possibility could explode on our screen. That's one possibility. But another theory is that Sonny sets a brilliant, devastating corporate trap. Scenario number one. What if Sonny allows Drew to win the auction for Sidwell's assets, but he secretly manipulates the paperwork? We know Sidwell was involved in highly illegal international crimes, including cold fusion, weaponization, and assassination. What if Sonny ensures that the darkest, most illegal parts of Sidwell's empire are firmly attached to the assets Drew purchases? Drew thinks he is buying power, but he is actually buying a one-way ticket to federal prison. Sonny could tip off the WSB or the PCPD, framing Drew as Sidwell's true successor. This would eliminate Drew without a single bullet being fired, leaving Jason completely unaware that Sonny orchestrated his twin brother's downfall. But let's look at scenario number two, which is even more emotionally destructive. What if the situation is being manipulated to force a proxy war involving Jason? We know Jason just got back and wants peace. He wants to focus on Danny. But what if Drew, high on his new power from Sidwell's assets, tries to force Jason to choose sides? Drew might demand that Jason abandon Sonny completely and join his new empire. If Drew starts harassing Jason and threatening the peaceful life Jason is trying to build with Danny, Sonny might intervene. Sonny's ultimate goal has always been to protect those he loves. If he sees Drew becoming a toxic, dangerous force in Jason's life, Sonny might launch a covert war to dismantle Drew's new empire piece by piece, bankrupting him and driving him out of town, all while pretending to be an innocent bystander. Sonny would essentially be fighting a war to protect Jason's peace, without Jason ever knowing. And then there is scenario number 3, which ties everything back to the current drama. What if we are underestimating the Willow and Nina factor? We know Drew is rapidly regaining his mobility and wants revenge on Willow for paralyzing him and trying to silence him. What if Drew's aggressive acquisition of Sidwell's assets is actually a means to an end? He needs absolute, untouchable power to completely destroy Willow and Sonny, realizing that Drew is becoming a loose cannon who threatens the mother of his grandchildren, decides to step in. Sonny might not care about Drew's business, but the moment Drew's vendetta threatens Wiley and Amelia's mother, Sonny draws a line in the sand. In this scenario, Sonny doesn't just want to beat Drew. He wants to break him mentally and financially to ensure Willow remains safe, proving that Sonny's family protection extends even to those who have crossed him in the past. However, guys, we need to talk about the most dangerous possibility of all. The insider buzz has been hinting at a climax that is so dark, so shocking, that it would change the fabric of Port Charles forever. I keep wondering whether the writers are actually brave enough to go there, but the unconfirmed information suggests they might. What if Sonny comes to the chilling realization that Drew cannot be reasoned with, cannot be bought off, and cannot be intimidated? If Drew truly believes he can replace Sonny, and is willing to use Sidwell's criminal network to do it, Sonny might decide that there is only one permanent solution. A line must be crossed. The most terrifying theory is that Sonny orders a highly classified, completely secret hit on Drew. Sonny knows that Jason would never, ever accept the murder of his biological twin brother, regardless of how strained their relationship has become. Jason would turn his back on Sonny forever if he found him. Therefore, Sonny has to execute this flawlessly, using operatives completely outside of his usual circle, perhaps even utilizing the very assassins Sidwell left behind. Sonny makes the cold, calculated decision that Drew must disappear if it means protecting his empire, his family, and his relationship with Jason. It is the ultimate betrayal disguised as the ultimate protection. Just imagine the scene. The town is buzzing about the auction. Drew is celebrating his supposed victory, standing on the docks, looking out over the water, believing he is the new king of Port Charles. And then darkness. The twist that is currently gaining traction in the rumor mill is that the storyline doesn't end in a boardroom. It ends with a horrifying discovery. The absolute most haunting scenario is the sudden, shocking discovery of Drew's lifeless body washed up near the pier in a desolate, abandoned sector of the dock. Port Charles would be absolutely rocked to its core. The narrative would instantaneously shift from a corporate rivalry over Sidwell's assets to a massive, town-wide murder mystery. If this incredibly bold possibility actually happens, the fallout would be apocalyptic. Jason would be pulled right back into the darkness he was desperately trying to escape. He would start asking questions, tearing the city apart to find out who ordered the hit on his twin. The irony is sickeningly brilliant. Jason would likely go to Sonny for help in finding the killer, completely oblivious to the fact that the man he views as a brother is the one who ordered the execution. Drew thought he was building an untouchable new empire, but his arrogance blinded him, and he ultimately turned himself into a target for the most dangerous man in town. The question would no longer be who won the auction, but rather, who killed Drew, and what will Jason do when he inevitably uncovers the horrifying truth? I have to admit, my mind is spinning just thinking about the ramifications of this. There may be more going on here than any of us can fully comprehend right now. Is Sonny truly capable of orchestrating the murder of Jason's twin and looking Jason in the eye afterward? We have seen Sonny do terrible things in the name of family, but this would be a new level of ruthless manipulation. It makes you question everything you know about these characters and the boundaries they are willing to cross when their backs are against the wall. But then again, what if Drew is already one step ahead? What if Drew anticipates Sonny's lethal response and fakes his own death at the pier to frame Sonny and finally turn Jason against him? That is the beauty of these behind-the-scenes leaks. They open up a Pandora's box of speculation. Every time you think you have the plot figured out, a new layer of deception reveals itself. If you ask me, something about this entire Sidwell auction setup feels incredibly hidden, like a giant chessboard where half the pieces are invisible. We can't confirm anything just yet. This could all be a massive misdirection, or it could be exactly what is about to unfold on our screens. This rumor might be completely true, or it might just be the tip of a much darker, much more twisted iceberg. But one thing is absolutely certain. The battle for Sidwell's empire is not just about money. It is about survival, ego, and blood. Keep your eyes peeled, guys, because whether Drew ends up on a throne or on the wrong end of a hitman's gun, there is definitely a massive, explosive story here that hasn't been fully told yet. We will be watching closely.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.